Lily Cotilla again. Currently, and for the past 5 years, I've been specializing in Ibogaine and 5MEO-DMT, as well as Ayahuasca, in terms of depression recovery, getting over PTSD, and being able to blend in and interact and have fun in the world again, as well as for the cessation or stopping of drug addiction and alcoholism. It is also beneficial for Lyme's disease and Parkinson's. The typical protocol is a flood dose, and more people seem to be opting for microdosing in order to assuage whatever ailment they are seeking help for. An interesting factor is that Ibogaine, Ayahuasca, and 5MEO-DMT can all produce hallucinogenic effects, and all three plant medicines are illegal in the United States of America. Why is that? I believe because of the hallucinatory drug factor. The FDA has been trying to create a drug either called M17 or M18 without the hallucinogenic effects in order to decrease and cessate the symptoms associated with the addiction, whatever happens with the body if you stop taking opiates when it's used to. It shakes, sweats, nightmares. These can last horrifically up to 10 days. I had a client at one time who had a beat-up fist fight with his own mother who was trying to help him and had no recollection of it after except for her retelling of the story. This is how bad and how hard and how difficult it is to get off of opiates. Now, there are replacement drugs in the United States of America such as Suboxone or methadone, etc. These do not have the effects of hallucinations, nor does microdosing on Ibogaine. From a therapeutic standpoint, we're conditioned in the field of academia and other trades. The mind is almost boxed in, if you will, with what verbal and behavioral imitations or presentations that you are absorbing through your sensory modalities. The hallucination aspect of a drug can be very beneficial from a therapeutic standpoint because it expands the mind. It pieces the puzzle together in different ways and you're familiarized with experiencing the world. It really reshuffles your card deck such that you can live a life with a different vision, a new thinking pattern, new reactions to things because your mind has been expanded by this hallucinatory drug or drugs. Bill Wilson and co-founder Dr. Bob of Alcoholics Anonymous. Bill Wilson, toward the end of his career, if you will, was very pro-LSD in order to help the people who kept relapsing because there is a very big recidivism rate with alcoholics and drugs, meaning that they will pick up again and start using it. It's really hard to get a person past the 1 year mark, and if you get past the 1 year mark, it does get easier and the percentage and likelihood of you staying sober and clean is a lot greater. So in any case, with Ibogaine and Ayahuasca and 5MEO-DMT or Bufo, they all bring together different forms of hallucinations. There's a very interesting variable that I want to introduce, and that is that there are 3 types of color blindness. There is red-green and yellow-blue, and a more rare type of color blindness involving, I don't know, all I've read about is that it's more rare. So 90% of people have hallucinations with Ibogaine. Maybe the numbers are a little lower, down to 80%. And it makes me question, with people who have color blindness, how that affects the hallucination aspects of some of these psychedelic drugs. Whether or not someone will hallucinate or not. Is color blindness a variable that influences how one hallucinates? You have synesthesia as well, which is the crossing of the occipital, and auditory nerves, such that, for example, if you hear a bird chirp and you have synesthesia, you'll actually see colors emanating out of that bird's mouth. So hallucinations can be very different in nature for each individual, and for each psychedelic experience, the hallucinations are very different. It's not a repeat and a treat and the same thing. It's a great expansion of the mind, and there are reasons why in the United States that is kept illegal, because it kind of it doesn't mesh well with the academia world. It meshes more well, these hallucinogenic plant medicines, with the Hollywood field of movies and the out there things, the conspiracy theory types. And the United States wants to politically stay in line and have some shape and form, which is important as well. So I invite the question of color blindness and psychedelics to the table. And I'm curious, for those who do not have hallucinations on Ibogaine, for example, what their color blindness status is. There is a test that we are now giving clients to start collecting this new information on how these plant medicines that help in addiction, PTSD, depression, recovery, etc., may be affected with the hallucination aspect due to one being colorblind. Another question is, what if one doesn't even know if he or she is colorblind? And let's say there's a sign that has green, white, and red letters on it, but somebody is colorblind to red. Then that person will never see that word that's written in red as he or she may be driving down a highway. And so pieces of the real life picture may even be missing because of the color contrast and who can see what, and who knows what's behind that. Maybe different people go different routes in life unconsciously because their brains aren't seeing like the whole picture. There are two forms of Ibogaine. Ibogaine HCl, which is more appropriate for addiction as it curtails or lets go of the physiological withdrawals. Now there's also Ibogaine TA, total alkaloid, and the total alkaloid part of the plant, root part or the tree, bush, whatever you want to call it, has a much higher percentage of hallucination, expansion, effects while under the influence. So keep these things in mind if you are seeking out an Ibogaine treatment in terms of if you want Ibogaine HCl or the total alkaloid in terms of your psychedelic experience coupled with letting go of depression, anxiety, PTSD, to opiate alcohol withdrawals. So color blindness and hallucinations. I'm not sure how much research there is out there on it, but it would be interesting to collect and experience. Lily Clutilla. You can reach me at 619-830-0982. And I will be happy to facilitate your pre- and post-therapy for your Ibogaine, Ayahuasca, or 5MEO, Bufo, DMT experience. Look forward to meeting you.